Hello and welcome to week 12 of Victorian English Language Tutoring's online course. Today we're covering formal register meta-language. This is more so relevant for year 12s, but it is definitely still important for year 11s to consider as you will start learning analytical commentaries towards the end of the year if you have not done so already. And this will be really helpful when you're analysing register. For everyone, when you're analysing register in that first paragraph of your ACs. So let's get into it. The first one is political correctness. This is not currently in the study design, however, it has been in past study designs. This means that they will not ask you a specific short answer question on it. However, you can still talk about it in your analysis, in your analytical commentaries. So political correctness is a style of language that aims to be inclusive and reduce offence. It avoids marginalising certain groups, so avoids pushing them to the outside. It promotes social harmony, so everyone gets along. It negotiates social taboos, so allows us to talk about uncomfortable topics. It removes loaded words that are highly emotional. It protects groups united by race, gender, sexuality, culture. Contributes to meeting people's face needs, so our needs as people. There's also an interesting discussion about freedom of speech versus political correctness. Whether political correctness is a good thing or not is a highly personal opinion. I'm going to open a chat on our group to have a discussion about political correctness. Please post your ideas and thoughts in there. It'll be really interesting to see what different opinions are. Please be respectful, and I will be monitoring the chat as well. So some examples of political correctness are saying police person instead of policeman, saying partner instead of girlfriend or boyfriend. So these are both gender inclusive. And then saying person with diabetes instead of diabetic. So this one is using person first language rather than illness first language. So that is political correctness. Next we have jargon. Jargon is technical language which is specific to a profession. It's specific to its context and can promote in-group membership or exclude. Think about how can a term like jargon, a jargon term, both include people and exclude people. I want you to have to think about that while I continue to go through the examples. How can it include people? How can it exclude people? How can it do both? Some examples of jargon: legal jargon, exhibit, litigants, jurisdiction, full court; medical jargon, tachycardia, echocardiogram; and business jargon, due diligence. So on the right-hand side here, I've got a table of the jargon terms on the left, and then the layman terms on the right, what we would use it, or how we would use it, and what we would say. I'm not going to go through all of them. I am not a medical professional and I cannot pronounce half of those things. But you can see that we have jargon as a specific way of identifying what is wrong in the body in terms of medical jargon. And then we have that kind of just regular term on the right-hand side because lay people or regular people don't need to specifically identify what's going on in the body in the same way that doctors need to. So if we go back to, can jargon promote in-group membership and also reduce in-group membership or include and exclude? What are your thoughts? The way that it works is if there were a group of doctors all using medical jargon, this would promote in-group membership or include everyone in the group because they all are using the same type of language. It's a specialized type of language and they all belong to that one group. If I was in the room with the group of doctors all using medical jargon, it would exclude me because I don't understand it. I don't know it. If I started using legal jargon in that group of doctors, that would exclude all of the doctors because they don't know that language, but I do. So it's really interesting the way that jargon can include and exclude depending on the context. Next, we have doublespeak. Our lovely friend Kirsten Fox says that doublespeak is the use of euphemistic, ambiguous, and indirect language to deliberately mislead, confuse, or obscure meaning. So we're trying to confuse people, basically. Could be jargon, lexically ambiguous words, which just means words that we're not sure what the meaning is. It could mean multiple things. Could be euphemisms. Here are some examples of real estate jargon, which is used as doublespeak to convince people to basically buy properties that are substandard. So they're not as good as they are as they're kind of letting on. So for example, in need of modernization. What that actually means is this house is old, it needs to be completely renovated or demolished. A cozy property in a rural location. Sounds quite nice. This property is small, the nearest shop is 20 minutes away. So can you see how using doublespeak is deliberately trying to mislead or confuse or obscure the meaning, change the meaning, so that people are wanting to buy, in this example, buy the properties. Next, we have public language. Public language is the language of politics, reportage, the law, and bureaucracy. It is language used in the public domain, but it is not just language used in general public. So when I say public domain, I mean things like politics, I mean like TV presentations, on anything you see on TV is public domain. Advertising billboards is public domain. It is not just me and my friends went to the shops, we are in public, therefore we're using public language. That's not what it is. It is formal and pre-planned and is oftenly politically correct. This one doesn't come up as often, but it is still important to know as it is in the study design. Okay, revision quiz. I'm going to read through the questions, give you a chance to pause, jot down some answers, and come back. 3 examples of jargon. How do language users avoid using taboo language? What is the function of doublespeak? What is the function of political correctness? And give an example of political correctness. We'll come back to that last question in a minute. Now's the time to pause, jot down some answers, come back when you're ready. Okay, 3 examples of jargon. Defendant, legal jargon, echocardiogram, medical jargon, due diligence, business jargon. These are just my examples. If you had other ones, that's also great. How do language users avoid using taboo language? Euphemisms, politically correct language. What is the function of doublespeak? To mislead, confuse, or obscure meaning. What is the function of political correctness? To be inclusive and offend the least amount of people possible. Give an example of political correctness, police person instead of policeman. And finally, we have this question, is profanity taboo in Australia? This is a question for discussion with a mate, with your class, if you're in class at the moment, or on our online chat. In the comments, I'm going to, again, put a post up to have a discussion about, is profanity taboo in Australia? That's all I've got for you this week. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you next week. If I can be of service to your school or you're just yourself in general, please email me. I do group and private tutoring. I do school presentations, staff PDs. Obviously, we have our revision course. I can do assessments and reports as well if you're feeling like you want to know where your strengths and weaknesses are at this point in the year. So please be in contact if I can help in any way. Thanks so much, guys. See you next week. Bye.